What's up, everybody? Hope all is well. Who's excited for Overwatch PVE? Okay, now who isn't? I think both sides have a right to feel as they do. Let me explain why. Whether you're into PvE or not, it's going to be mega important for the future of Overwatch. There's limitless potential for it in the game. It's a fantastic canvas for lore, the cast of heroes is ever expanding and mechanically evolving, the world is always growing with new stories and maps, and if you're inclined to be positive, you could say Blizzard has a track record of making some of the best PvE content in the world. If all goes well, it'll be a massive boon for the franchise. On the other hand, there are reasons to be nervous. How will this impact the core of the game, the PvP? Will balance bleed over from one or the other like we've seen in other games? Will it steal development resources? Will it tank so hard it drags the entire game down? And does Blizzard still even have the magic? Personally, I'm in both camps as I think most are. So far, I've liked what the dev team have shared. Their vision seems to be pretty epic in scope. Additionally, World of Warcraft made me fall in love with deep, intense, cooperative PvE experiences. If I could get that in any game, it would be Overwatch. And since Blizzard makes both, the odds lean a little more in my favor. But that brings me to my main concern. Can the Overwatch team do it? I'm holding out hope, giving them a solid first chance here, but with so many problems at the company and so much still unknown about the game, for my own sanity, I can't get too carried away yet, though I do have a dream I'm keeping close to my chest of an Overwatch 2 sporting some of the best PvP and PvE content in the world in one game, populated by a massive community of gamers, all connected by a guild system. So let's get into it. Why should we be excited? Why should we be nervous? And what are a few things I really hope to see? So why should we be excited? Well, PvE has the potential, and I stress potential, to elevate Overwatch to a whole new level, to redefine itself in the genre, to spawn an ecosystem and community where guilds full of like-minded people log in every day to play. Like WoW, in its heyday, the energy of that environment can be truly magical, and it has the potential to keep Overwatch relevant during downtimes like the league's off-season. Official information on the mode is pretty slim. We've got just two sources. One is a 2-year-old 14-minute gameplay video. The second is BlizzCon from February 2021. Though about 10 months old now, I think we can still glean some conceptual ideas from it. As far as we know, hero missions will be the game, but I did find this quote from Aaron curious.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes.
Maybe there's some other as of yet unrevealed content, maybe endgame max level stuff perhaps? Based on what the team shared though, I think they're going in the right direction. There's a big emphasis on content being highly variable, visceral, and replayable. They spent a lot of time and effort adding and improving enemy types, the feel of gameplay, dynamic weather, day-night cycles, mission types, more detailed maps, and making the overall combat itself varied. Here's a few soundbites on the topic.
Interesting combat for us is varied combat for us. The goal is to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. So have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time, hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps. And so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot of mission. We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you start a mission, you look at a map. It's nighttime in Necropolis, or there's a sandstorm in Necropolis. Players can make some comp choices based on knowing this information. Characters like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable because they have abilities that allow them to see through the sand more clearly.
Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
The hope is all these new systems work together dynamically to keep each mission attempt feeling as different and fresh as possible. While it doesn't sound like simply changing weather or the time of day is a big deal, I have just one thing to say to you. Kings Row, winter, nighttime. It all says to me they get it. PvE content needs to be engaging, variable, and replayable to succeed, and in support of that, Blizz is leveling up the tech and gameplay itself to provide something compelling, modern, and worthy of playing long term. Curiously though, no mention of rewards yet. As a big-time RPG nerd, I'm supremely interested in hero development, so I was happy to see this.
As a huge RPG nerd myself, the first time I opened up the talent tree systems, it was like, oh my gosh, this is speaking my love language. Like,
they're saying all the right things. There's a big emphasis on creating deep talent trees that provide the ability to experiment with heroes and play them in many ways. They want to provide the opportunity to theory craft. Here's a few things they had to say.
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the skill tree, you can have fun every night doing different things and kind of experimenting.
Yeah, the talent system is like really deep and rich, and every single hero has different trees. You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change.
Designing these is super fun because it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and we get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things like Junkrat can dual wield grenade launchers.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons like Soldier 76's rifle or fire attack like what Reinhardt's Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these things with talents, all of a sudden maybe you're doing freeze damage or electrical damage.
Like, I just want to plan and I want to see like where do I want to invest and how am I going to play this character.
Yes, it's so great. And you start at the bottom of the tree. Like,
yes,
oh my,
exactly.
Like Tracer gets to do what?
Yeah.
And then you start working and kind of planning how you're going to get down there. It's like, it's so fun.
The ability to play your hero differently hits right at the core of good PvE. Being a team-based game, even more so, having to account for changes beyond yourself creates a network of interrelated abilities and playstyles among the team. Push down a little here and something else pops up over there. It's a beautiful thing, min-maxing something so complicated, and it seems like they're really going for it. They talk about how drastically talents can change a hero and how they get to break all the rules. Good stuff. We should be excited for the story. It's one of the most requested things from the player base. What we've got so far, while limited, has set the stage for just about anything they dream up. It spans the entire globe, several decades and countless wars. It's a story that hits right at the foundation of humanity, good versus evil and the blurred lines between, forgiveness versus revenge, family, friendship and love, and morality itself. All the world's a stage, indeed. They talk about how epic in scope the story is and how they want to expand what Overwatch means to the players. They want to show us where these characters are in life after the team disbanded, what happens when they're needed again but Overwatch is still outlawed, and they talk about how they want to introduce big personal challenges for each character and dive deep into their relationships. Here's what they've got to say on it.
Overwatch 2 is probably the largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So how do you take that bright, shiny future and create conflict in it? How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale.
Each story mission has its own custom map built for it, and these maps are absolutely gigantic.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become part of your life and for you to experience it.
I'm really happy to see they're going deeper than the standard hero saves the world stuff and instead focusing on their place in it all. I personally still have a lot of faith in Blizzard's writing and lore and franchise development teams, and I'm feeling pretty good knowing what they've got to work with. Let's try to set aside the fact that we love the game and want it to do well. There's inherent anxiety in that, but it's coming from a good place. Rather, let's turn our attention to two things. First, how will this affect PvP? And second, is Blizzard still capable of making legendary content? So how will it affect PvP? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Theoretically, yeah, it could steal development resources, overshadow PvP, affect balance, or tank the game and kill it all, but the odds of any of those are pretty unlikely. I think Blizzard knows PvP is their bread and butter, especially with the Overwatch League revenue involved. The game's iconic because of it, and they wouldn't risk that. As popular as PvE content is, PvP is where the money is for both players and viewers. So losing resources, being overshadowed, balance issues, that sort of stuff, I don't see any any of it personally. Thus, I think the only real concern is Blizzard's ability to pull this off. The company's recent track record is a bit sparse. Since Overwatch, all they've released are a few remasters and WoW expansions, most of which were poorly received. So creatively, there's a sort of what have you done for me lately thing going on. Then there's the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, the state of Activision Blizzard itself and how that affects the Overwatch team. I'm concerned with the turnover and departures of seasoned professionals. There are many we know of, like Jeff Kaplan, the much-loved game director, in April last year. The production director, Julia Humphreys, left in May, and most recently, executive producer of Overwatch and Blizzard VP, Chako Sani, left in September. So much turnover in such a short time puts things in a state of flux. Add to that a staff that had to grow quickly and deal with the pandemic, and business as usual is suddenly called into question. It's more than just how long is this going to take. Now it's, can this be done at all? Bottom line, I'm not painting a picture of doom and gloom. I'm just saying there are clear and present challenges to meet the bar they themselves have set. I'm staying positive and wishing them the best. There are two things I'd like to see that Blizzard hasn't talked about. First, a guild system. It's perhaps the most important component to building a big, healthy community that breathes life into the game and adds permanence and import. Done well, players log in literally just to hang out with guildmates. The game's almost secondary at that point. Imagine meeting a dozen or so guildmates online. You chat and catch up, then off to crush a few story missions, swap over and play some competitive, all while completing challenges and collecting XP that goes towards both your personal rank and the guild's rank. When your guild reaches a certain level or completes certain challenges, everyone gets special PVE buffs or XP rewards or titles, and the guild browser tells everyone in the world, you're a top 50 PvP guild, or you're a world's first guild. Could be cool stuff and turn Overwatch into its own little metaverse. The second thing I hope we get are weapon variants with rarity. These would be locked to PvE modes and open up the envelope even more. Look to TF2 and how they've done it. Some weapons offer totally unique playstyles, while others just a few percentage points on certain abilities, but chasing the weapon you want is motivating and fun. They'd also make a great reward mechanic and status symbol for those that care about that sort of thing. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I see a ton of potential. I also see some legitimate challenges. Assuming they're still on the path they shared at BlizzCon last year, the main takeaway for me is they realize Overwatch 2 needs to be better throughout, in every aspect. To even be in the discussion is a worthy addition and successor to the original game. But I think if done right, PvE, simply because it's new, has the best chance at making a major splash. The foundation is certainly there for it to succeed. I've got my fingers crossed for you, Blizz. And with that, I'm done. Appreciate you taking the time. Take care of one another, and I will see you soon.